I am Valencia Lee, yours truly, your host of Serious Business Podcast and editor of Voila Magazine. I have a very, very special guest with me here today. We are here in October, as you all know, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we have a breast cancer survivor here. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
What's up, fam? This is Safiya. Or AKA Safiya.
Safiya. I'm going to give you that one because this story you done gave me is some fire. I'm going to give you that one.
Right.
So, we talking about you being a breast cancer survivor. And I mean, I've never interviewed somebody who've actually had breast cancer. I know people that had cancer, but you definitely got a story to tell.
Right.
I mean, so we just gonna jump right into it. We ain't gonna
Right.
So when were you diagnosed with breast cancer?
Yeah, so I was actually diagnosed in January of 2015.
Okay.
With invasive ductal carcinoma, which is a form of breast cancer. It's so crazy because it's not just one particular breast cancer. Like they have like.
Oh, it's not just one?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I thought it was just one.
Yeah. I did too. Like when you're going through such an ordeal, that's when you learn.
When you learned a lot.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So were you going to the doctor for an annual checkup to find out that you had it? Or what made you just go to the doctor and then find out that you had breast cancer?
So actually I was, at home and I was in the shower and I felt a lump. And the craziest thing is I've never self-checking. Like I wouldn't do it. But for some odd reason this particular day, I was like,
was it hurting? Did you have some pain? Was it some discomfort or what?
Right. It wasn't any discomfort or pain, but it just felt different and it didn't feel right.
Gotcha.
And so I noticed, when I first started checking, and then it seemed like it was getting a little bigger and moving. And so I ended up going, I spoke to my sister, which is my best friend. So shout out Shawana.
Shout out Shawana.
Yeah, right. That's my dog. That's my dog. And, of course, she's like, oh, it's probably nothing. I've had somebody go through that, and I'm like, well, no, I get it. I said, but I'm going to be precautious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't tell the kids or anything. And I ended up going to for a woman's checkup. And the nurse practitioner
did you go right away?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was finna say, they tell you to check yourself once a month. I know me, if I feel we gonna have to.
Yeah. Yes.
We gonna go right away.
We got it.
So
yeah. So of course, I had to wait till the appointment. But then the appointment was maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. And when I went to the nurse practitioner, she felt the lump, so she had referred me off to the Rose, which is an organization that provides, 3 mammograms for the those that aren't insured. And
that must have been, I mean, did that make it even worse, not being insured, knowing that you could possibly, your health is in danger and you don't have health insurance?
Yeah. And at the time, because again, in the back of my mind, it's probably nothing. I'm just being precautious.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't need it anyway.
Okay.
So in the process,
so you stayed optimistic about it pretty much the whole time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And but throughout the process, I was in the process of getting Obamacare, because then at this time, when they had started telling you for your income tax, you got to have insurance. So
yeah, and they was taxing you, hitting you with fines and all this stuff. So yeah.
So I'm like, so I'm in the process of getting some insurance. But it was a whole mess. So it prolonged me because originally I was supposed to get the Obamacare in December, but it ended up pushing it back a month to January.
Okay.
Right. So just another shout out to God because he already has your
He may
steps
not come when you may not come when you want him, but he always on
right
time.
on time. And so once I went, so finally I got my appointment. It was for January the 5th. My baby had just turned 13 3 days prior. And I went by myself, because again,
she still didn't know. Your kids still didn't know at this time. Okay.
And of course, back in again, like I told you, in my mind, my
you
dad,
you good. You
right.
Just...
My dad always say, but when you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So in my mind, I wasn't gonna have nothing to worry about.
Yep.
And later came back and said, well, ma'am, can you come back for February the 2nd for a biopsy? And I'm like, well, I have a situation, with my daughter, and it requires us to be at court. And they've already told me that we have to be there. And she said, well, can you come back February the 9th? And I'm like, well, I don't know how long this is my first time with this. I don't know how long courts are going to be. She said, well, the next appointment we're going to have is February the 17th. And I believe that's too far out. She said, give me a few moments and I'll be right back. So I ain't think nothing of it. Okay. She came back. She said, well, can you be here January the 7th? That's Wednesday. I said, yes, ma'am, I can. She said, can you please be on time? We don't do biopsies on Wednesdays. Shout out to God again.
Made a way, open up the door.
Made a way, right. And so that was January the 7th. I did the biopsy. And January the 12th is the day they called me and asked me to come back in to tell me that it was definitely breast cancer.
I mean, so... You go back, all this time you've been optimistic. I ain't got nothing, you going through this. You just going through the motions. You're going to work. You still living your regular daily life, taking care of your kids. And they say, hey, you got breast cancer. How did they change your life?
So when they told me, and it's not crazy that you ask it, but I still remember like it was yesterday, that doctor, she said, were you expecting me to tell you this? Like I had no emotions, and I was like, no, but in my mind, I knew you weren't calling me down here for nothing.
Yeah.
So I was a little better prepared. And so she, how do you want to tell your kids and everything? And, of course, we went back over the insurance situation again. And she was
So did you have insurance by this time?
I was going to pay
You still didn't have insurance.
I was going to pay my copay for my Obamacare January the 22nd, because that's when I was going to get paid. But they stopped me and they say, Ms. Hill, by you not having insurance, it's a breast and cervical cancer Medicaid. I believe you would qualify for. And again, it will pay everything. It's going to take care of your chemo.
I had an issue where I had some stuff going on with basically my reproductive parts or whatever. And I had to have like some type of procedure done, and I didn't have insurance. But Texas Women's Medicaid,
right,
they picked up the tab because I ended up having to be in the hospital for 2 weeks. I had to have a tube in my stomach for another 2 weeks. And one of my closest friends, she would have to drain it. It was like really bad. Like basically I had a cyst on my left ovary and it ended up getting infected, turning into an abscess. So they ended up having to drain it.
Right.
And it was crazy because I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, gosh, I don't have insurance. Right, and they don't treat you right if you don't have insurance. Like they patch you up. Oh, you be all right. They giving me antibiotics. You know what I'm saying? This is not going to fix the issue.
Right.
But so, I mean, it's just crazy that, when you go through stuff like that, you think it's about you.
Right.
When ultimately it's not even about you.
It's not at all.
So you find out that you have it. Did you tell your sister?
I did. And that was the thing. So this is, I believe, part of what set us up to be where we are sitting at today. So I called my sister and told her. And you the swore I had just told a woman I got 6 days to live. She was screaming.
Hold on. Did the doctor tell you that, or you told your sister that?
I told my sister I had breast
Why did
cancer.
you tell your sister you had 6 days?
No. I said you would have sworn.
Oh, I was
the way
to
she
say,
was
did
screaming.
You tell her you had 6 days?
The way she was screaming and hollering in that phone, you would have sworn that's what I told her.
Oh, wow.
And
so she had a fit, basically,
right.
when you told her that.
Yes.
She was not... So that probably even pushed it off, even prolonged it even before you even told the kids.
Yeah, well, but after her, it was my dad. Like, it was so bad, my brother-in-law at the time had to get on the phone and was like, she gonna call you back because she was crying that bad.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
I called my dad and I told him, and he read a poem to me called Let Go and Let God.
Amen.
And it's like, in that moment, that's what I did. Until this day, my dad still tells me the only reason he was able to go through it and get through it is because of me. Because if I wasn't hooping and hollering and acting a fool and crying, and I was so positive and optimistic, how
so
could
you was
he
positive
not be?
and optimistic the whole time. You never just.
I mean, I don't.
I mean, you probably had your moments,
right?
But
I never
for the overall,
to think that it just didn't affect me. I was just this hardcore still like, oh, I got, there were days, because there were days when I couldn't really be a mom. It was me literally just laying in the bed or laying on the couch.
So how long did you have to go through chemo and radiation?
I did chemo from February to June, and then radiation picked up in August. So I did chemo, then I had surgery for them to remove the breast.
Now, I know when you have cancer, like, people want to be superwoman, live their regular lives, do what they want to do. But I mean, when you're going through chemo and radiation, like, you don't have a lot of energy, you don't have an appetite, like, you really need people to help you. Like, who was your support system?
My support system was huge. I would be remiss. I wish I could give a blow by blow of every single person.
So it was one of those. It takes a whole village.
A village, yeah. But my mains, my daughter, she was 13 at the time.
When did you eventually tell your daughter?
I want to say like right before chemo started. Okay. Because I found out that's when.
How did your daughter take it?
She was 13, so I don't really know how she processed it. But I never really seen her shed a tear. So if she did it behind my back because she didn't want to stress me or add any other pressures on me. Her, my sister, my aunt, shout out Annie, San, as my dad calls her. That's my mom's sister. Shout out, to my mom, because she made sure I got back and forth to chemo, but I had a lot of cousins that stepped up. I had 2 cousins, one that actually works at MD Anderson, and the other one, she works in the medical center as well. They're twin sisters.
So is that your ultimate motivation that you say that got you through all of this?
Right. My kids and God. Like, my dad's favorite, Charlie Wilson. He has a little line on his song. He say, Wilson. My life been mapped out by God already. Hey. I'm just living and walking the steps that He ordained me to walk. Like,
and it's funny you say that, because ever since I introduced you, we've been talking about God. You've been just giving Him the glory. You said your dad told you to let go, let God. Right. You beat this.
Right.
Now
I wish I would have worn my little.
You beat this. How long have you been?
Over 7 years.
Over 7 years, cancer free for over 7 years, and for you to take that walk on faith and let go and let God, you have seen so much since you have been cancer free.
Right. Right.
So you was telling me about how you like to be on social media.
Yeah, I do.
So you on social media, you posting on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Twitter took me a little longer to grasp. it was kind of hard at first, but I really started getting into Twitter because of football, because all my players on there, and then I play fantasy football too.
Oh, okay, you
So
okay.
it helps me because I follow like a lot of the fantasy, little Twitter pages and stuff. So, but yeah, I love my social media, and it's crazy because breast cancer and social media open doors.
It opened doors for you, and it's crazy because I never thought I would heard somebody say breast cancer opened doors for me.
Right.
So you were saying that when you couldn't work, so you were online looking for surveys, trying to find a job.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You met, what was the lady's name? Joanne London.
Joan London.
Joan London.
Yes, she was a broadcaster on Good Morning America for a lot of years. She's a journalist, an American journalist. And
so how did you meet her? How did y'all cross paths?
We crossed paths because we're both thrivers. We didn't survive. We thrived it.
Okay.
We're breast cancer thrivers, and we both actually use one of the same medications, one of the same drugs, and they had
before y'all use like one of the same drugs for breast cancer?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Yes, okay. Ma'am. And then so she was involved with an organization called the Voices of Experience.
Okay.
And while I'm doing the little surveys online, I had did the drug before, so I'm taking the medication before, and so I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'll do this particular survey, and then I got linked up with them, so then they asked me to be one of the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a spokesperson?
Yeah, and so she ended up actually coming out to Houston to do an interview of me. And it was 4 of us. One, Miss Natalie's in California. Shaika was in Chicago. Rest in peace, Sha. That was my sis. And then Janine is in New York.
Okay.
So it was 4 of us that she went to each location and interviewed us. So then once they did that, they flew us out to New York. And that's when the 4 of us got to finally meet. And then it was on and popping after that.
So you go to New York.
Wow, yeah, the Big Apple. Like to stand on just man, I see it on the movies all the time. And then
you in Times Square?
Right, that's what I was looking for, man. And
you go to New York, you go to Times Square.
Yeah.
That's just where you go. You can't.
You see it on the movies and stuff, and it's so lit up and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then to be in a moment and you sitting around.
It's something totally different. Wow. It's a totally different experience. It's a totally different experience.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
So is that the only place that you got to go with her? You went to New York?
Went to New York twice.
Okay.
Orlando, Washington, D.C., and Denver, Colorado.
Man.
And
things started looking up.
Right, and I'll never forget Denver because the date that I went to Denver was 4/20.
Hey! So we know it was going down. We know it was turned up back down.
It went down. And so it was just kind of like, like to be in the experience of, wow, Father, you would really send me on this day, because Houston don't have lax, like, So it was like, okay.
You have to go to Cali, Seattle, Colorado.
Right. So I was like, yeah.
That's what's up. Like for you to go through all that, just turn around and do a simple survey, and then it just opened up opportunities for you to travel. And it didn't stop there.
Right.
You was on Instagram, and a lady reached out to you for another
opportunity that I didn't know was going to be the opportunity.
Tell us about that one.
Of all opportunities.
Of all opportunities.
So I noticed I had a message in my Instagram, and it was a filtered message. So that meant it was somebody that wasn't like a friend of mine or anything. And it was a representative from the talk show The Real. And they were reaching out because they were looking for a couple of breast cancer survivors, because they were having breast cancer show come in October. And so, you know, they were looking for either like a breast cancer survivor that was going through something, just needed a little help, or was doing something. Well, at the time, so when I went through my treatment, my thing was always I always had a shirt, because I had different people that make shirts. So I had a shirt for chemo, radiation, when I would just go. And I noticed the reaction from other people at the appointment.
So people would make shirts for you and give them to you for when you went to radiation and chemo.
Yeah, like my last round of chemo, last round of radiation and everything. And so I would notice when I would go to my treatments and stuff, how it would make the other people feel like they would laugh. Oh, your shirt is so cute. That is so funny. And so a thing for me is I just feel like it kind of, when you're going to such a dark place, you know, to see that shirt and you can get a little chuckle and it gives you a little motivation. So that was like my whole thing. And
it seemed like in your situation, it was like the smallest things that just matter. It's just the smallest thing
that made it matter. And so I was telling, so that's what I do. Like, I kind of gotten away from it since COVID. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, like, I have friends or people, family members reach out to me. Hey, I know somebody that's been diagnosed. Can you talk to them, or whatever the case may be? And then I'll get them a shirt made, you know, because cancer chose the wrong diva.
I like that.
Or
I like that.
Tell cancer, bye Felicia. Like, it's different shirts.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
You know, so when you go, and
it's just kind of one of those things, because people like, I like to laugh at like some stuff happen, and I would literally sit back and laugh, because it's like nothing I can do about it. Like, just sit back and laugh. God probably laughing at me trying to figure out what you finna do now. So I might as well just sit back and laugh with.
Absolutely.
So I like that. I like that.
So that's my little thing I enjoy doing. And so, like I said, I'm speaking to the lady, going back and forth. She's asking questions, asking me to send videos, pictures of the kids and I, you know, pictures of me going through my treatment, because I am very photogenic and I love pictures. And so I have plenty. And so
this all right. We got you on the front on the front of the magazine cover for the breast cancer edition. They gonna get to see how photogenic y'all.
Plentiful. And she So finally, you know, I get back to that sister. She like, what did these people call you and want to do something for you on TV? I say, child, y'all gonna be an embarrassed family, because baby, I'm about to pass out on the floor. They got, man, we can't ever invite you back. So we laughed about it. And so she ended up reaching out and asking me if my kids and I can come. And I'm like, absolutely. Because to me,
to California, to the real?
Right. And my kids had never reaped the benefit of going on a trip with me.
So you went on the rest of the trips
by myself.
By yourself,
yeah,
and then they had
school and they just couldn't be away like that. Yeah. So this was the first time they were actually gonna fly, and they were gonna reap the benefits of what they had been through, because I didn't go through it
because they had to be there. They had to be there with you.
They had to watch Mama.
So why not?
Right. So I'm like,
turn up. We going to Cali to be on the real.
We going to Cali. So now I done told them, they're excited. So my aunt, she was like, well, you know, Anna was like, she'll pay for her own ticket, because that's her favorite. That's her favorite show.
I mean, I like the real.
She used to tape if it was her day to work. She's taping it.
Yeah.
Because she's going to watch it when she get home. And so, you know, I kind of explained to them how vital my aunt was for me. And they asked, can your aunt come too? So, and they don't.
So they flew you, your aunt, and the two kids out.
They flew us out.
The flew you out.
We the flew crew.
Man.
And
so how was it when you got on the show?
Oh, man, it was awesome. And it was a show, and like Remy and Papoose was there that day.
Okay.
So like my aunt
Remy
and
Papoose.
She came in when they were doing hair and makeup on my aunt and I. She actually came in to see the ladies that does the hair and makeup. So we actually got to meet her, and she was still pregnant with Remus, and it was that's an experience that I will never forget. And she was such a sweetheart, and they had Annie, and so once it was time for me to come out for my segment, they had Annie and the kids in the audience, and I sat up, talked to the ladies. So it's the 5 of us on the stage and just talking to them, and them asking me different questions. And then towards the end of the segment, Ms. Lonnie was like, "I'll be right back. I got something for you." So I'm still just, I'm cool. Oh, that's sweet. Miss Lonnie got me
Lonnie
a
go
gift
to the bag. What
Baby,
she come out? What was in the gift bag?
Yeah, baby, you couldn't put that in no bag.
What she give?
She rolled out in a 2018 Ford Mustang GT
Nah.
drop top. And it's really
So y'all was rolling big time in Cali.
rolling. No, yeah, they blessed. No, I didn't get the car till I got back home.
So you got back to his.
But still, they blessed my kids.
That's all right. I would have went roll on right down to Galveston, drop the top.
Baby, I don't like this hot. I don't like.
She say it's hot. How you got to drop top talking about this hot?
I promise, I done probably dropped the top maybe 3 times.
You can't have it drop top talking about this hot.
In 4 years, right? I done dropped it, maybe. And then if it's dropped, I promise, we only probably going around the corner, okay? It's Houston. It's too hot. I'm not dropping.
They done gave her a drop top Mustang. She say it's too hot. Nah, this was up though. Like, from the time you sat down, we went through breast cancer, radiation, chemo. We went to traveling to DC, to New York, to Denver. We on the real TV show. We got drop top cars. Like, won't God do it?
Won't, baby, won't it? Okay, make you do a little dance.
Let me ask you this. What is your biggest lesson learned with all of this that you just been through?
So, my God, it's so many of them. But I would say the biggest lesson is to ultimately let go and let God. Like, it's easier said than done. But it's a mindset thing. I know things can get troubling. I know things can get trying at times, but you stressing about it, you frustrated about it, you in an angry space about it, it doesn't help the situation at all. It like defeats it. So for all my candy heads, my candy eaters, it's like kind of like Twix, the left and the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to choose a side. So either you're going to choose positive or you're going to choose negative. There's no in between. No. Like, there's no middle. You have to literally choose a side and go with it. You know what I'm saying? When you
make me think about the Bible verse, Matthew 6:24, where he said you can't serve both God and money. It's like you have to pick. In this case, it's not money. It's like you have to pick one or the other. You can't do both.
But at the end of the day, you can still have both. Because when you choose God,
He gonna give it to you.
He gonna give
that.
You.
That's a word. Because I used to always chase money. When I started chasing God, He just made sure I had it. I ain't even got to chase it no more. No. So that's a word, because He gonna give you everything that you are. The Lord is my shepherd. He knows. See, we finna start preaching.
Right. They need it. You know,
we finna start preaching now.
We don't know this word for today. It's for us, but it's for us to bless somebody else too. And that's the thing of life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Again, I've had many peace sisters that have gotten their wings, and they're here watching over me now. And like, probably it would be whispered, like, sis, represent us right. And God left me here because not only did I go through that, but then here just in July, I'm at home. And it had to be for like about a good week. I'm not feeling good, but at the start of the week, but by the end of the week, it's like I'm struggling. I'm struggling breathing. Yeah. I'm just struggling. My daughter had already been fussing at me, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the urgent care when it's closer to the weekend, so that way I can finish out my week. But that Thursday came, and I'm like, man, I'm going to the urgent care today. And we went, I ended up calling the urgent care, and the urgent care was like, well, you might want to go ahead and just go to the hospital because it sounds like pneumonia. And I'm like,
when is this recently?
Yes, this was just in July.
Oh.
And I'm like, pneumonia? In my head, I'm like, I wasn't thinking about it. That was the last thing I'm thinking it could have been. But in my mind, I knew it wasn't COVID either. Yeah, I got to the hospital. My oxygen level was like at 85. Like, they didn't even let me sit down. They instantly put me in the bag.
Just took you to the bag.
Come to find out, I had 2 massive blood clots on my lungs. I had a blood clot on each lung. I was literally like the Walking Dead. Heart straining.
Well, you be out here fighting for your life.
Heart straining, right? Like literally straining. And ended up in the hospital for like 2 weeks. Had to have emergency surgery for them to remove the blood clot. Like, now I'm on blood thinners, oxygen, but I'm still walking
you still
and talking
here.
in God's glory.
You still here. You finna bless somebody, because somebody with your story. I'm still over here amazed and in shock. But we gonna go on and wrap it up, because I know we can go on and on.
Right,
Y'all can catch more of her story. She will be featured in the October issue of the magazine. If there's anything that you could share with anyone out there, what would you tell them?
I'm going to be honest. When you get those lemons, you just take them and make the best lemonade you can. Because your life is already mapped out. Uncle Charlie said it. And when Uncle Charlie said it, you listen. Like, God didn't bring you there for no reason. If he brought you to it, he'll bring you through it. And that's a promise. That's a fact. I'm a living, walking, talking testimony.
Amen.
And that's on word.
Amen.
Take it to the bank and cash it.
Y'all heard it from her first. Breast cancer thriver, Safiya Hill. Thank you for coming through, blessing my show, blessing my audience. I really do appreciate that.
I appreciate you for having me.
I am Valencia Lee, yours truly. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to my channel. This is Serious Business. We out.
First.